Have you ever sold something only to have the buyer come back later complaining that it's something they just discovered? Imagine that instead of a $20 gadget, it's a multi-million-dollar business. That's where seller holdbacks come in. And in today's video, I'm breaking down how they work, why they matter, and how to protect yourself in a deal. If you're selling a business, a holdback could mean waiting months or even years to get paid in full. If you're buying one, a holdback could save you from financial disaster. Either way, if you're not structuring it correctly, you're setting yourself up for a huge financial headache. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what seller holdbacks are, how they work, and how they compare to earnouts, and how to negotiate the best possible terms. Hi, my name's Trent Lee. I've sold over 600 businesses, and for the last 6 years in a row, I've been named the #1 business broker in the country for the most closed transactions. And I make these videos having seen hundreds of deals from some of the mistakes and the best practices I see happening in the real market today. So, what exactly is a seller holdback? Think of it like a security deposit when renting an apartment. The buyer holds back part of the purchase price in an escrow account to make sure everything with the business is as promised. The money sits in escrow for a set time, and if everything checks out, the seller gets paid the remaining balance. If there are issues though, like misrepresented financials, unexpected liabilities, broken equipment, some or all of that money can be used to cover those problems or those unexpected expenses. So, why does this exist? Because buyers want protection. Imagine you're buying a business and 3 months later you find out there's a huge unpaid tax bill, for example. Without a holdback, you're stuck footing the bill. With one, the money's already set aside to handle it, so you're covered. But for sellers, this means you might not walk away with all of your money at closing. That's where negotiation is key. There isn't just one type of holdback. There are several, and each serves a different purpose. Let me give you a real-life example. Sarah was selling her thriving e-commerce business to Mark for $3 million. Here's a couple different types of holdbacks that could have been applicable. A general escrow holdback. Mark puts $300,000 into escrow, ensuring that everything Sarah promised is true, like the customer list, the websites, the inventory, is actually transferred and working as expected. There's an indemnification holdback. A year after the sale, let's say Mark discovers a pending lawsuit that Sarah forgot to mention. That's $300,000 in escrow that was set back. It just saved Mark from losing money on the legal fees for a lawsuit that he wasn't responsible for. There's a working capital adjustment or holdback. In this case, the deal was structured to have $200,000 of working capital in the form of AR. But when Mark takes over the business, there's only $150,000 of AR. That missing $50,000 comes from the seller holdback. Other holdbacks can be tied to liabilities, contingent considerations, or even non-compete agreements, making sure that the seller doesn't open up a competing business right across the street. Holdbacks protect the buyer, but they also create risk and delay for the seller. Like everything in business deals, seller holdbacks have their pros and cons. For buyers, holdbacks reduce risk by ensuring the business is as advertised and provide funds for unforeseen issues, encouraging the seller to stay engaged and make for a smooth transaction. For sellers, however, you don't get all of your money at closing. It adds uncertainty. You could be waiting months to see if you get paid. Managing a holdback can be complex, so use a professional. A holdback makes a deal safe for the buyer but riskier for the seller. So how do you make sure these holdback terms are fair? If you're a seller, your #1 goal should be to get as much money as possible up front. If you're a buyer, your #1 goal is protection. So here's how to negotiate a fair seller holdback. Number 1, set a fair amount. A typical holdback is somewhere between 5 to 10% of the purchase price, but this varies depending on the risks involved. Number 2, define the terms clearly. How long will the holdback last? What specific issues can it be used for? Number 3, use a third-party escrow account. Never let your buyer hold the money directly. Always use a neutral third-party escrow or attorney. Number 4, cap the liabilities. Sellers should ensure that the holdback only covers specific defined risks, not a catch-all for anything and everything the buyer doesn't like post-sale. And number 5, push for a staged release. Instead of holding back 10% for 1 year, negotiate 5% after 6 months and the rest after 12 months, assuming there's no issues. A seller holdback is different from an earnout, but people often confuse them as being similar or the same. Let's go back to Sarah and Mark. In a holdback, part of the agreed price is withheld for a certain amount of time to cover potential risks. Sarah knows she'll get the money if there are no issues. In an earnout, Mark says, I'll pay you more, but only if the business hits certain revenue goals. So Sarah doesn't just have to wait for her money, she has to earn it by keeping the business performing after she's already sold it, or assuming Mark and hoping Mark continues to do that. A holdback equals risk protection. An earnout equals future performance-based payments. Sellers love holdbacks more than earnouts because in an earnout, the buyer could intentionally run the business poorly or not as profitable just to avoid pain. Seller holdbacks are a crucial part of business sales, but if you don't negotiate them right, you could end up losing money or waiting years to get paid. If you're thinking about selling a business, don't guess your way through this. Let's talk. I'll help you structure the deal that protects your interest, gets you paid faster, and avoids nasty surprises. Set up a free, no-obligation valuation today. Just click the link in the description, and if you found this video helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone thinking about buying or selling a business. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.